Hello, welcome to this tutorial on fractions. Today we're going to look at how you can do several things here. You can add, you can determine mixed numbers and improper fractions, you can convert to higher terms. We're going to look at how to compute the least common denominator and the greatest common denominator. So let's get started here. How to convert a fraction to a mixed number. Well, if you have a mixed number, a fraction that's like this one where we have 160 divided by over 9, 1/69. What you're really saying to convert here is to take 9 and divide that into 160. Okay, so 9 is going to go into 16 one time evenly. Subtract that from your 16 and you get 7. 9 goes into 70 a total of 7 times for 63. Subtract the 63 from the 70 and you get 7 left over. So what we're saying here is that 9 goes into 160 17 whole times. So the whole number will be 17 and the remaining fraction will be 7/9. Now, if we want to convert a mixed number to an improper fraction, in our example we've got 9 and 5/8. How many 8s do we have in total here? The way to solve that is by taking 9 times 8 and then add 5 to that. So 9 times 8 is 72. 72 and 5 is 77. So in total we are going to have 77/8. And that's our improper fraction. Okay, we want to continue on here and we're going to start looking at the greatest common divisor. And what we're saying here is what is the number, the largest number that divides evenly into both the numerator and the denominator. Using the step approach to this, what we do is we start off by taking 24, the numerator, and dividing it into the denominator. Into 40. So how many times does 24 go into 40? Well, the answer is 1 time. We subtract that from 40 and we find out that we have 16 left over. Sorry, this should be a 24 here. 16 left over. Okay, what do we do now? Well, we take that 16 this time and we divide that into 24. And we continue on in this way until we end up with 0. 24 is going to go into, 16 will go into 24 one time. We subtract that and we get 8. Eight now is going to go into 16. How many times? 2. So our greatest common divisor using the step approach is 8. What do we do now? We take that 8 and we divide that into the 24 and into the 40 to reduce this to its lowest possible fraction. 24 divided by 8 and 40 divided by 8 is going to give you 3/5. So what we're saying here is that 24/40 is equivalent to 3/5. The greatest common divisor again is 8. 9 would not go into either one of these numbers evenly. Neither would 10. 8 is the largest number for your greatest common divisor. Okay, let's learn how to convert to the higher term. So if we have a fraction like this with 14/20, we want to know what the equivalent number is in 200ths. The easiest way to solve this answer is to cross-multiply the numerator and denominator of the different fractions and then divide by the denominator. So we have 14 over here times 200 divided by 20, which is equal to 2,800 divided by 20, which is equal to 140. Okay, let's move on. How do we find the lowest common denominator, the LCD? Some of it can be done just through sight by looking at to see what is the lowest number that goes into all of the denominators. Let's assume that these four numbers are the denominators from a fraction. Well, what do we have? First thing you're going to do is you're going to line up the four numbers like I have here, and then we are going to find out what prime number divides into at least two of these denominators. We'll start with the lowest prime number and work our way up. So some of you might want to remember what a prime number is. Well, a prime number is the whole number greater than 1 that is only divisible by itself and 1. So examples of a prime number would be 2, 3, 5, 7, 11. Those are examples where only 1 and the number can go into that particular number. 4, for instance, would not be a prime number because not only can 1 go into it, 4 can go into it, but 2 can as well. So that eliminates it from being a prime number. All right, let's see what we have. 2. 2 can go into 12 6 times. It can't go into 9, so we'll just carry that 9 down. It can go into 6, and that's 3 times. And it can go into the 4 2 times. So 2 is a good prime number here to use because it goes into at least 2 of these 4 numbers. Let's try that again with the set of numbers we have now. What is the lowest prime number that will go into at least 2 of these numbers? Again, you can tell by looking at this that the answer will be 2. 2 goes into 6 3 times. It doesn't go into 9, so we'll carry that down. It doesn't go into 3, we'll carry that down. But it does go into 2, and that's 1 time. We'll continue on this way until we can't do any more. Now, by looking at our example here, we find out that the next prime number, next highest prime number that can go into at least 2 of these 4 numbers is 3. 3 can go into 3 1 time. 3 can go into 9 3 times. Again, 3 into 1, 1. And it can't go into 1, so we just carry that down. Okay, we're at the end here. So how do we actually find what the lowest common denominator is from all of this? Well, what we do is we take 2 times 2 times 3. Times 3. And we get the answer of 12. But we're not quite done yet. Now we take 1 times 3 times 1 times 1. And we find out that this results in 3. Now what you have to do is take the 12 times the 3, and the answer is 36. 36 is the lowest common denominator for which all 4 of these denominators will go into. All right, let's move on to how do we add and reduce to its lowest terms. In our example here, we've got 2 fractions, 3/40 and 5/2. Of these 2 numbers, we have to get the denominators the same in order to be able to add them. So, by examination you can see that 5 can go into 40. How many times? 8. 8 times 5 is 40. So we'll leave the 3/40 the same and up the 2/5 to equal terms using the factor of 8. We multiply the 2 times the 8 and the 5 times the 8, and we find out that the equivalent to 2/5 converted to 40ths is 16/40. Okay, now we can go ahead and add. We can add 3/40 plus 16/40, and that's going to give you 19/40. All right. Subtraction is a similar situation. You have to find a common denominator in here. So, in this case, 4 isn't going to go into 7, 7 isn't going to go into 4. What do? Well, the easiest approach in here is to take each fraction and multiply its denominator and numerator by the denominator of the other fraction. So what we end up with is 6/7 times 4/4, which is going to give you 24/28. Similarly, what you should do with the 1/4 is take 1/4 and multiply that times 7/7. And the resultant is 7/28. Okay, now we can take 24/28 minus 7/28, and what you end up with, of course, is going to be 17/28. We had the same common denominator here, so we were able to just subtract the two numerators to yield the 17. Division, how do we handle that? Well, in division, what you have to do is invert one of the fractions and then multiply. So what we have in this case is 1/9 times 6/5. We multiply them, and that is going to give you 6, and 9 times 5, 45. 6/45. Now this isn't quite done because really you should reduce it to its lowest terms. And in order to do that, we see what number goes into both the numerator and the denominator evenly, the highest number. In this case, 6. What goes into 6? Well, there's really only 6, 3, 2, and 1. So we know 6 isn't going to go into 45 evenly. Let's try the 3. If we divide 6 by 3, we get 2. And if we divide 45 by 3, we get 15. So what we're saying here is that 6/45 is equivalent to 2/15. 1/9 divided by 5/6 equals 2/15. I hope this has helped you to understand fractions.